Hi everyone, it is
Trio warning.
I am L and I go by he him pronouns.
I'm Nikita and I go by she her pronouns. Sling.
I'm Jarrett and I go by they them pronouns. Yeah.
Your mom.
Literally.
So what are we gonna talk about today?
As we said in our last podcast, we're gonna be doing education system. We're not gonna be doing the education system. My IQ is not that high. We're gonna do a deep dive.
Okay, so what part of the education system do we want to
Hello.
zoom in on?
What did you say?
Hello? What part of the education system do we want to zoom in on?
Ooh, I know. Let's start with grading system. The way that we are graded in schools.
Okay, so what's the issue?
Okay.
We start from what age? Kindergarten, nursery.
I think we should start from primary school because that's when like systematic grading is taken seriously. I think.
Wait, can I like say, like maybe I think you should talk about the age, like.
Oh yeah, true. Okay.
Okay, wait. Can I try say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Singapore's system goes from like primary school, which is the equivalent of like elementary school for many other countries. So those who are in primary school go from age of 7 all the way up to 12.
6.
Which is
6.
No, 7.
You start at 7.
Okay.
7. So it's a US equivalent of grade 1 to grade 6.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it not?
It is. I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't know, that shit always confuses me, so I just Google.
No, for real.
Yeah, and then you have middle school, but in our system we call it secondary school. So secondary school is for those who are age 13 all the way up to 16, which is the US equivalent of 7 to I think 7, 8, 9. I think it's the grade 10 if I'm not wrong.
7 to 10.
And then so from so at each like stage of like changing school, we have examinations at our primary school level and then at our secondary school level, which are called PSLE, which is primary school leaving examination, and O levels, ordinary levels, respectively. So and then afterwards, after you get results from ordinary levels, which is like after you're done with secondary school, you get to go to three different types of systems that are available in Singapore. So you have
three main systems. Because there's other ways.
So this one is polytechnic, junior college, and then ITE. So afterwards, like after these systems, you can go to university, but in other countries you can call it college.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't like the college or other stuff, just called university here. Yeah.
And what we went through was we did all of that, but we went to junior college. So primary school, secondary school, junior college. Well, we only met in junior college. So we all have like universal primary school and secondary school experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We met in so we call it JC. We call junior college JC. So we will just shorten that for now, because we're not going to say the entire thing all the time.
Yeah, because Singapore is very known for abbreviating things that do not need to be abbreviated.
Yeah, literally.
Pursely, guys, pursely.
Like PIE, it's literally just the Pan Island Expressway. It's not that difficult, but they call it PIE.
It's quite long. It's quite long, you know.
Oh my god! I got and Pan Island Expressway.
In secondary school, the grading system is NA, NT, but then there's no abbreviation for express, but there's an abbreviation for NA and NT, like normal acad, normal academics, and then normal technical. It's not that long. I don't know why they abbreviate all this
neurodivergent like ND. I was like, what?
Bye.
It's like a stream for ND people. I was like, since when?
Guys, when you go to secondary school, if you're neurotypical, you're take ND stream, guys. Remember?
I was thinking like, since when Singapore became so inclusive?
Bye. You wait.
Don't shake country. Shake those who rule it.
Ooh, I love our insert ruling party name. We will not be.
Okay.
I love our
Oh.
ruling party. I love Singapore. Oh, I love Singapore so much.
We're gonna get
Yeah.
deported and like, hello, we don't even have jobs yet, and like
Bye.
we're
We're
already
gonna lose
getting.
I have a
jobs before we
job.
get jobs. You barely have a job.
I'm working,
Bitch.
which is like good pay. Shut up.
Okay, bragging your wealth. Anyway, back to our
Bitch,
topic.
it's not working.
Back to our topic. Okay,
Which
wait. Let's start from primary school again. Okay.
Calm, lie down.
Grading. So in primary school, actually this is same for primary school and secondary school. From primary 3 onwards, if I'm not wrong, either primary 2 or primary 3 onwards, there will be 4 main exams per year, like, or at least 4 main tests. Or I guess it's 2 tests, like 2 major tests and 2 major exams, but like major in like the context of a year, per year for primary and secondary school, which is okay. So we split. I'm not. I think this is for every single, not every single country, but for most countries, I'm pretty sure we split it into terms like term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4.
Or
where
semesters, I guess.
Yeah, there'll be 2 semesters and there'll be 2
semesters.
terms per semesters, I guess. So it just splits like the year into 4 quadrants. So at the end of each quadrant, there is a major test/exam. At the end of the first quadrant and the end of the third quadrant, you have your common assessments or CAs in primary secondary school. And at the end of each semester, you will have SA, which is semestral
Sexually assist.
Just call them
What's the
exam
word?
1,
No.
exam 2 lah. It's like so complicated, this name.
They just call it SA 1, SA 2. Okay. I guess there's a reason why there's an abbreviation for this, because I really don't know what SA stands for. I think it's semestral assessment, I guess.
Sexual
So, you want an
assault.
SA 2?
Sexual
I leave it to you. I'm going to cancel you. Okay, anyway. So at the end of each year, basically your grades from these 4 major exams plus a bunch of your other work, but mostly these 4 major exams will be collated into like a single grade. Is it collated into like a mark? Like out of 100, you get like a certain amount of marks for each subject, and then these marks will determine your grade, and these grades will determine your kind of like progression, I guess. And the things that in primary school and secondary school, right? There is this certain thing called like putting people basically you change a class every 2 years, or yeah, you should basically change like a class every 2 years lah. And so
It's
people
called
like
streaming. Right? Streaming. That's what we do. We call it, right?
Streaming is for when there is like different subject, like isn't that for like
Oh. Okay, okay.
subject combinations and for like grades, like isn't that more stream? I guess.
Wait,
I
actually, right? Isn't this whole grading system of having like 4 different tests a year? Isn't it similar to like what we have in secondary school and in JC as well?
Yeah, it is similar, but I guess it has differences because
Different impact, yeah.
the different impact. Because in primary school, like primary school and secondary school actually as well, I think that these 4 major exams are like they put all the weight on this. So like your daily kind of like your daily classes and like your mini like class tests don't really have much of an impact on it as compared to in JC, or I guess just in JC because I can't really talk for poly or ITE. But basically, like in primary school and secondary school, these are like 4 major exams, and you like people will like study a lot for them.
Basically, you
like-
study when the exams are coming, lor. That's it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't really care like on the days that are not near an exam, right? So it kind of causes it can kind of affect like the
It feels very artificial. It's very
yeah,
artificial.
it feels very. It kind of takes away like this like feeling of actual interest in the subject or interest in their classes. It's not really driven from passion, but more from like pressure when it comes to the exams, because people don't care about it. Like generally, people don't really care about it unless you are like really intense when it's not exam season, I guess.
Yeah, I
mean-
might.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind, you go first.
Sorry. No. I'm not saying anything. Just continue.
Oh, okay. I might have a slight idea of how poly and ITE works. Like, I can briefly like touch on it, because like, I mean, I think you guys can cover JC, right? Because like, slay. I hate JC.
Yeah, I hate JC too. I don't know. Huge regret.
Yeah.
Okay, poly ITE.
I feel okay. If I'm not wrong, right, from what I've seen my brother go through 3 years of polytechnic, he basically had a lot of project work and teamwork, but there were also like a lot of individual assignments that contributed to this accumulative point system called the GPA, right? So basically, these points are accumulated like since your first year of poly. So poly year 1, poly year 2, poly year 3, all those all the tests and projects and whatever you have, right, all those exams you have, they're like, I don't know, it's accumulated like how you do. So like, I don't know. And then at the end of like, wait, how many years is poly? 3 years, right? Okay, 3 years. Then
Yeah.
at the end of the 3 years, right, they will take the average score of how you did for the 3 years lah. I think that's how it works. Then honestly, right, from what I see, that is actually the reason why I didn't go poly, because I was like, what if I like mess up my first year and then I completely slunk it, and like the rest of the 2 years I really had to work my ass off to pull up my grades, right? Also because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, which is also another reason why people go to JC, because they still don't know what they want to do, and JC still is like opening up options for those people. So we suffer with the consequences of our actions, and we go to JC instead. And then people who go to poly, I applaud y'all, because honestly there's like so much teamwork to do. Like we can go into like the project work that we did in JC, right? And it's honestly, we were so sick of it. We had to do it for an entire year, and we absolutely hated it.
It
And,
really
like,
depends on like the actually like intensity of each project work, to be honest.
True.
And
But did you like your
duration.
project work?
Did I like it? I felt like my group synergy was actually really good.
Oh,
Like genuinely,
well,
I thought that we did a pretty good job. But like drama wise, that definitely was something else. But
yeah,
that I
like,
think
mm,
the intensity was really way too much for it to be healthy. Continue on for 1 year.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, project work, I like my team members, but the problem was like trying to convince people to get work done.
Yeah,
And I felt like I had to like keep asking guys, can y'all get your work done? Get your work done? Get your work done? Because like I was the team leader and stuff. But
Right.
at the end of the day, they got their work done, and it was really, it was well done. So, whatever it is that we went through was kind of worth it. We got a B grade in the end, my group at least. Then, I realize I'm jumping from here to there. But anyways, back to poly, right? I think I feel like poly is kind of really definitive of what you want to do in your future. Don't you agree? Yeah. So
Definitely.
I guess so. I mean, you kind of want. I mean, you really have to want to do that subject for like 3 years. Like most of them.
Yeah. And then now for ITE, right? I don't really like have a like definitive like clue to what is going on there, but I'm pretty sure the system works a bit similar to poly. Like I don't know if they have the cumulative point system. They might. I'm pretty sure I heard it somewhere. And then after that, at the end of I think ITE is 2 years, 3 years or so. Yeah, 3 years. Then they can proceed to poly with, they can do, I think if they do well enough, they can go to poly or something. Yeah. Then I'm pretty sure that poly and ITE, right, they, at the end of, at the 3rd year, they have this sort of internship that they have to do. And, it's based off the course that they're doing. I'm not sure, correct me in the comment section below.
Bye.
But
They're so obnoxious.
no, I'm trying to give off the hi guys, 2016 YouTuber, my life as Ava vibe.
My life as a mentally ill person.
Literally, my life. Okay, yeah. I think that's all I have to say about poly and ITE. But JC, we haven't really covered.
No, we haven't talked about JC. Okay, wait.
We haven't talked about grading yet. I was still not done with grading yet.
It's your love.
I've been waiting.
Okay.
Okay, back to the grading system. Guys.
It's a mess.
So in primary and secondary school, basically at the end of the year, right? for each subject, you will get a certain amount of grades for each subject in your 4 exams. So we're just jumping around place at this point, but just, I guess, deal with it, sorry.
Yeah, because like
But basically,
we're done.
anyway, basically, what they will do is that they will take your results from the entire year, from like the 4 major exams and a small percentage as well from your homework assignments, and they will collate it into a certain grade. And then at the end of every 2 years in primary and secondary school, they will change your class to another class. And the thing is that at least in primary school, I know they do this, is that they tell you that your grades don't matter in what class you get put into. But honestly speaking, I'm pretty sure in some schools that they actually do it, but they just don't want to say it because of public image. But at least in my school, they did actually change. They basically changed the system so that at the end of the 2 years, if you did better, you'll be put in a certain class, and if you did worse, you'll be put into another class. And I know this because in primary 5 and primary 6, there was one class that everyone always had this stigma towards, and in as well as in primary 3 and primary 4, there'll be one class that everyone had a stigma towards, and it will be known that those are the classes with like the so-called weaker students, because they just happen to be the people who had the worst grades from the year before. And I guess it kind of creates almost this environment of like, if you go to a certain class, then you suck, and if you go to another class, then you're amazing. And it forms a hierarchy that does not need to exist, because like the thing is that in each class is already a hierarchy, and if you want to have like a similar hierarchy across the entire cohort, it kind of affects like the way that people see each other in academics, and it can actually put down some people, I guess. It can make some people feel like they will never get to where they want to go. In secondary school, after your first 2 years, which we fittingly, I guess, call lower sec, you go into upper sec, not higher sec, upper sec.
Yeah.
I hate you, Nikita. Anyway, but basically, when you go into upper sec, you get to choose a certain grade combination. Not grade combination, subject combination. And then basically, this subject combination, there are some that are harder to do and some that are easier to do, and they will band you according to that. And the thing is that there will always be a certain subject combination where like those are like the people who like, they are like the so-called smart kids, and there are other subject combinations where like those are the kids that are, that people will have a stigma towards and think that they are like not hardworking because they didn't, like, it's just a so-called easier subject to take, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of how like grading works in Singapore. And also there's a lot of pressure put on like getting good grades, and get like the all A's thing in Singapore is like much more amplified than in like the way that Americans talk about it. It is much more intense.
Yes, so I came up with a term. It's called TILF.
Why do you always a term
Teacher.
every single
I
podcast?
like to, I do not condone any teacher-student relationship. I just thought it was really fun.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't
What
know.
is it?
Jarrett just muted. So I'm like, okay, no, I take
know,
over.
say it.
Say what?
What are we gonna talk about? What was your term again?
TILF. Teacher I like to.
Oh, Tilva. Actually, right. There are some tills that we saw in school. we'll be honest.
What is going on in this place?
We changed the subject.
No, because you suddenly mute and we're like, TILF. Okay.
Anyway.
You were saying?
Oh, back to A's. Yeah, something that is very rare when you get to JC. Basically in primary secondary school, right? Like compared to what Americans think is like a lot of pressure, like in Singapore, it is like a war zone. Like all is like a lot of children actually. It's not even like the small amount that you can see in America where like they're like, you call them like the nerds. Like a lot of people in like Singapore, like a lot of their parents, they put a lot of pressure on their children to get like the all A's, or like at least nothing that is below a B. Basically, they're kind of like a pressure on their children in secondary school. And things that like that is even seen in primary school as well, which is kind of shocking considering you're like so young children, and like the amount of pressure is not really healthy. I think that most of us can agree. But basically, there's a lot of like intense pressure put onto these children, and people start tuition from really like primary school. From primary 1, they're like tuition classes for primary 1 students.
Yeah.
And it's quite like this whole study kind of academic pressure is quite intense in Singapore lah.
Right.
And I think that it really, there needs to be some form of change, I guess. So yeah,
Change.
that's kind of like the system in primary secondary schools.
It's
I would
really
like
way
to talk
too
about-
intense.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
With
absolutely.
the education system in like, cause thinking right, like if you think about the age that is currently in the primary schools, right, you're forcing literal like 7-year-olds to conform to believe that the entire like worth is to grades.
Yeah,
I guess
literally.
it is so damaging to them like mentally as well. Because they support like this is like the time where they have the most time to like develop and like to become like a person, like you have their own personality and all that stuff, and then you force them into this like small little hole of like just grades. It's really gonna like affect them. I don't
Yeah.
know what,
Alright.
yeah, and I guess like I'll share like a personal story, because why not? So when I was in primary 1 and I was in school, right, and then I got 74 for my math test. I was thinking to myself, I didn't understand like numbers because I had a very poor understanding of math, like very bad. I don't understand like why it was bad, because 74 was like passed already, so whatever, right?
Oh
Then
yeah,
I
and
came back-
mind you, right, to people who do not live in Singapore, a 74 is 1 mark away from an A in primary school.
Alright, I didn't consider that. Right, no wonder I was so mad. So I went home and I was like, Mom, I got 74 for math. She was just like, I really had to stand there and she like berate me the entire night. I was like crying. I was like 7-year-old me and didn't understand what I did wrong, because all I did was just take my math test and that was it. So I
Yeah.
that was not traumatizing, just like more like why. Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me, right? I have this story about math as well, and then in math, it was in primary 5, so I was about how old, guys? 11 years old. Okay, 11, right?
Yeah.
11, yeah.
I was 11 when this happened, and for math syllabus as a primary 5 kid, you would have math paper 1 and math paper 2, so you'd have 2 math papers. So math paper 1's out of 40, and I think math paper 2's out of 60.
Yeah, 60 should be.
So this funny shit happened, right? Like math paper 1, I got 39 out of 40. I freaking topped the class, right? And I was like, and then my dad was like, "Oh my god, you're definitely gonna get like A. You're gonna do so well." And then come back my paper 2, right? I failed it so badly
Oh my god.
that I only managed to get like 60 something for like the overall paper.
No way.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
really like, it was humbling to see.
Right.
Yeah, but I completely agree with L and what he said on the whole parents berating their children. Like, my dad wouldn't like beat me or hate me and whatnot, but he would be like, "Why cannot get full marks?" And I would get like an A for an exam, and then he'd be like, "Oh, why can I get full marks?" And I'm like, A's, yeah. What you want? Hello? Yeah, that's pretty much. It's been going on.
A is A, right? Like, why do you have to like
Yeah,
bully someone? Like,
exactly. Just be proud of your children, man. Your children going through so much in the head, I know y'all got a job also. I know y'all got a lot of things, but our entire future is pretty much dependent on how we do with our education as a teenager and as a child. So calm your badonks, because we are stressed out too.
right.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that parents don't realize that the way that they talk to us and the way that they treat us in regards to our studies affects our grades directly, because it affects our psyche towards a subject. And imagine this, okay? Imagine, right, you are doing something, like you are running for your life and somebody beside you is shouting at you, if you don't run faster, you're gonna like You're gonna die.
Your soul is going to leave Earth,
Right.
and you're going to go straight down to
Like someone just
Wow.
shouting that beside your ear, and this is someone that you're supposed to love, and someone that like you have always looked up to your entire life, and they're telling you if you don't run faster, you're gonna die. Imagine that, but like stretch over like 10, 12, like up to like basically like 15 years, 15, 16, up to 20 years even, once you get to uni, I guess. But like literally someone just shouting that at you, but like the whole time.
Yeah, like what Jarrett said is very true, because you're supposed to be there to give like the more support that kids are supposed to have, right? And like teach them like, hey, I'm there for you. I'll be your comfort, like, and I'm a safe space. Like, tell me anything. But then when you give this type of like unrealistic expectations and like negative remarks all the time, it's not gonna help anyone at the end of the story. And then you wonder why your children are so far away from you. It's not because like you're a bad parent, but you just don't understand why. Like you don't empathize. You're not there for them, and then like it really puts a rift between your relationship with your child.
Yeah.
And then and like I guess like parents, like, you know, they're the older generation, so they can argue that, hey, we're being too sensitive. I mean, that's true. We are sensitive, but like, what's wrong with being sensitive? You know, what's wrong with caring for our emotions?
Actually, right, a lot of the parents argue that, oh, we've been through the exact same thing that you've been through. But the problem is, it was so much simpler back then. I'm pretty sure.
I did do
pretty
research.
sure it was a lot simpler back then.
A while back, I did some research on this, right? And even my parents told me, back then, right, even though like the so-called general, like the system, the so-called system, definitely had similarities. However, the subject content and the culture behind studying was very, very, very different from now. Because back then, like the parents didn't care. Like their parents didn't care as much about studying. In fact, my mom literally was not able to go to uni because my grandmother told my mom that like girls don't go to university, just stay home and work. And the thing is that she was a top scholar and she loved studying. But my mom couldn't go to uni because my grandmother said that women are meant to, like, you know, cook and clean and be nice to the husband, that kind of shit, right? And like the things that is very different now, because back then people wanted to do well in their subjects because it wasn't something that was like pushed onto them. But now that it's pushed onto us, like it kind of is almost like, it feels more like a chore. But back then it wasn't a chore, it was the opposite of a chore. It was something you take away from the household chores, literally like literally. And not even just for like women, but also for men, for literally everybody, every gender, like no matter where you were from. Like studying wasn't really seen as something that was super important unless you were very wealthy. Now it's reached a point where your education directly defines your paycheck in the future. So it kind of is like the pressure now is very different, and also the intensity of studying and the culture behind studying is very different. Even though like the so-called like general system is so-called similar, it is kind of similar.
It is. And honestly, like to add on with what Jarrett's been saying, the topics that are like currently being studied by us are also very different like spectrum, and it requires like a vastly different set of skills that you need. So it's much like more difficult. And if like what the government has been trying to implement, like the critical thinking skills and the application questions, it's a lot harder than trying to like read from like straight from a book. But you have to actually like, you know, like think. I mean, you have to think, but it's like actual skills that you need to like these answers cannot be derived straight from a book. You need like real life like stuff that you need to know. So it's like it's a very different type of world that we're living in right now compared to back, like, you know, in like the 1900s or whatever,
1900s.
Whatever,
the ancient
times.
Okay, like, let's say 1960s. Okay,
yeah,
let's be my
1960s,
parents.
1970s.
I couldn't even go to school.
A
lot of women probably couldn't go to school.
Yeah,
my mom went to school.
My mom was born in 1960 something. She couldn't go to uni because of stigma. People born before that definitely had more stigma than her even. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Your mom couldn't go to school because of stigma. I mean uni because of stigma.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the thing is that like a lot of parents are kind of that age now. Like a lot of our parents are like from the time when there was a lot of stigma behind like women going to school, and there was much less pressure on going to school in general back then. But like I think that the direct comparison is not really effective, and it's kind of invalid in this case because there is more differences than there are similarities, honestly. But yeah,
it's really like it comes down to like really just understanding what like each of us are like going through rather than comparing all the time, because it really does like more harm than good, to be honest. Just creating a rift between your kid. And like I really don't think like any good parent at least wants to like be further away from their kid. They want to have, like be able to share the experience together and like grow up together. But if you keep doing that type of things to your child, they won't want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Right.
Oh, actually, right. I've something that I realized recently. Okay, so like, I'm gonna bring up like a personal story. Not really story, but it's more of like a short, like just
Short film.
Film.
But okay. Anyway, what I'm gonna say is that like around Christmas time, like before Christmas, I had like a gathering, like just like a casual like gathering with a bunch of our other neighbors. We're just talking about a bunch of like relevant stuff with like kids and stuff, right? And something I noticed, right, there are a lot of like young parents. These are young parents, like around the age of 30 only, where their kids are like still like in kindergarten, in primary school. Like only one of them has a kid who like is taking PSLE this year. And the way that they talk about like grades about like regarding their children, like grades alongside like the way that they like discipline their children, it is quite like okay. I would say credit hearing their stories, right? Hearing what they say towards that, like how they treat their children, right? Makes me feel like I have a lot of privilege from where I come from. She was saying something about like, oh, this daughter I have, she just is very like, okay, like just context that this daughter is more of an artistically inclined kind of person, right?
Okay.
And like the way that her mother was talking about her directly in front of her was like, oh, she's an artist one lah. Like she can't do well in subjects one. Like she will have like I want her to do this so that she will have a future kind of a thing. Like directly saying that in front of her, saying that she won't have a future if she continue with arts. Directly in front of her face to other people, other adults. Like my mom wouldn't say that to her.
No,
like,
my mom does that.
friend.
Oh,
so that's okay. Anyways,
would you like to elaborate?
No, genuinely.
Yeah. I wouldn't have the direct experience because that's not what happened to me.
Okay, so basically when I was like P1, I actually like both science and arts, to be honest.
P1.
And then yeah, I was forced to pick career in a P1 already.
what?
P1 or P6 already. No, sorry, not P6. I mean
P1
like,
what? P1.
K2 P1 ish.
What do you mean by paid career?
Like, my mom would give me a book, and then she would show all the careers, and I had to pick one.
You sound like what? Choosing paint
Oh,
colors.
I thought you were working at P1.
Choose
Oh my
one.
God.
Choose one thing.
No, that's child labor. This is no way. So basically, I actually wanted to be a teacher because I thought like the woman in the book was very, very, very beautiful.
Hi.
And then
bro.
And then my mom would be like, "Oh, you know the doctor, right? Has a lot of like Barbie dolls in his bag. Do you want to be doctor?" I'd be like, "No." I was like, "I want to be a teacher." I'm so fucking annoying. Anyway, so like I really liked like when I was a kid, I really liked to draw. Like I drew a lot of stuff. I might still draw, and it's really not bad. The first one are just embarrassing. Just want anyone to see it. Maybe she was right. Anyways, basically like she would always go like, "Oh, you want to do art in Singapore? It's just not possible. Like there's no future for you. You should just do science. Just like that kind of stuff." Wait.
I'm so sorry. This just reminds me, right? I would draw a lot for my parents, and because I am a defaulting child. Probably like, I don't know, like, primary school, before primary school, and actually I took art classes at one point, and then I just stopped for a while, and then it just stopped eventually. So anyways, I would draw and then I give the thing to my parents, right? The portrait or whatever I draw lah, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, after looking at those like paintings and stuff, I don't think they've had the worry that I would go into the art sector because my drawings were horrendous. I think. But I'm pretty sure they still keep it. Because one time I looked through the drawers and I saw all the letters and stuff that I drew. I'm so slay. But anyways, yeah. I actually agree with the whole like arts thing because there was one point in time that Elle, are you done with your story?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, never mind, you finish first. Sorry.
Like my mom, okay, so basically I really like to draw, right? And then I would like show my mom and dad like draw, and they'll say like, "Oh my god, no future," blah blah, and like how like in Singapore the industry is so small and that kind of stuff. And they went to like very like big details about it.
They didn't even compliment you in your drawing.
No, they always say one word like, "Oh, it's nice," and that'll be it.
Oh,
And
okay.
I mean, until now, like they did it just all the way until like Sec 2, which is 14 when I was 14, so like 7 years I guess. Yeah, so like doing that. So then I just like eventually actually in Sec 3 I actually gave up on like going to arts industry.
Yeah.
Because I after that like different story lah, but the point is like I just really liked arts, and then like they were telling me that the future was very bleak.
Yeah.
I mean, it's someone else who was very passionate arts and like genuinely only wanted to do arts. They heard it, obviously they'll be very hurt lah. Yeah. But yeah, I still think I draw very well. I like to believe at least.
Actually,
You
right,
draw well lah,
I want to
Nabil.
I want to add on to that story about like you wanting to pursue arts but your parents telling you that it wasn't a good idea. Because I also went through that also, obviously. I mean, I guess it's kind of like something that it just happens if you are like more artistically inclined in Singapore. Shall come and speak today. But like, yeah, I was very like the only thing that I would do was draw. Every single like second of my like life, I would just draw. Even in class that I enjoy, I would just draw my paper, and there'll be like doodles all over my paper. I'll create full on like comic books, and I'll be like, "Mommy, can I like publish this?" And like fully like comic books with like titles and like little like pictures and like all that shit lah. And like it was I tried to like become like I tried to like be very professional about it. And I remember one time in Sec 2, I made an Instagram account where I posted all of my art on there basically. And then in Sec 3, right, when we were doing like subject selection, I did arts. I did O-level art. I mean, it's one of my biggest regrets to this day. Like, it was really not an exciting experience for my art journey because I think it kind of ended my art journey. But during O-level arts, right, that I was surrounded by there were basically two groups of students who go for O-level arts, right, and they were people who didn't care and just wanted to be there because they thought it was easy, and they soon realized that they were absolutely wrong, completely fucking wrong. And there's another group of students who were very, very like obnoxious about art and being like, "Oh, I only use like Daler Rowney. I'm very expensive. I use Prismacolor. If you can't afford it, you should stop doing art." Kind of like a kid lah. You know what I mean? And I was stuck right in the middle because I was neither of this. I was just someone who just wanted to draw very well, correct? And I wanted to like do well, and I wanted to create good art and like make it my career. And my teacher was very supportive of that, but none of the other kids in my class were supportive of that. But like, if you can find a good like environment or safe space to create, sell, and like just be involved in the arts, right? I think that that's actually definitely a possible career to be made in Singapore. Because I do have a few artist friends who are like have similar stories to me and to you as well, who were able to find that kind of group of people who were into arts in the same way that they are and were like interested and actually very capable, and they did manage to flourish and become like full-time like artists.
That's
like,
very good.
Artists and based in like job based in art. Yeah,
Wow.
and I think that it kind of is something where in secondary school or even in late primary school, once you are able to like get access to the internet and you're able to like find like forums or like chats to talk about art with other like-minded people in Singapore at a similar age, and you can talk to them about arts, but obviously in a safe space, right? Make sure that it's not like, you know, filled with like gross people who are trying to exploit you, but like safe spaces, then like, you know, it's definitely very much possible to flourish in the arts lah.
Sorry, to add on, right, with what Jarrett mentioned earlier. really, like, now that, like, because of like the current age of like the internet, everything, like becoming an artist is like increasingly easier in the sense that it's actually much easier to get like recognition online. So you
Definitely.
can get like online orders and everything. So it's not that much of an issue in the country, I would say, because of like Etsy and like I guess Patreon and that kind of stuff. It can really help you to fund. Not that much. You have to be pretty popular, but like it's still a way. You know what I mean? Compared to previously, before like whatever these platforms were available. So honestly, if you're really passionate in art, I really think you should go for it, because like sometimes a job, right, is really about your passion and about like pursuing what you want. Because I sometimes like you can get like the amount of money that you have, right? It's like, oh, money is good. Yeah, I agree completely, because you want to get like all the stuff that you want. But do you like? It's also important to like the job that you're in, or at least tolerate it to a certain point. So if you feel that it's your way, then really think you should go for it and like do what you want.
Yeah, speaking of the arts, right? Actually, for a really like solid period of time in secondary school, I wanted to pursue acting because like I was in drama and then I realized it's actually like a passion of mine. And I was actually pretty
Oh.
decent at it. And then I was like, okay, I realized there's no way I'm gonna have a career in Singapore, like when it comes to acting. So I was like, I had this whole plan, you know what, I'm gonna move to the US and then I'm gonna like audition and stuff. And then I did a lot of research. I found out that a lot of people who aspire to be actors actually just end up teaching acting or like guiding acting, and they don't actually like get to be in movies and stuff. And it's apparently really like rare occasion, which makes me think, wait, should I do it in Singapore or in a place like LA? Because in Singapore, right, the whole acting scene is it's like horrible right now. It's nobody watches
How it
the
is.
show. Like,
yeah. Watching local.
I think they watch all the local Chinese dramas and all that, right?
It's
I
horrible.
They are so bad. I just correct, like the local English channel, right, just showed this like this like show. I just thought I was watching it alongside my dad, correct, just for a short portion, right. The acting in it was so like sad. Like you could tell that they were like, it felt so inorganic. But I think that continue.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I don't want to pursue an acting career in Singapore. So in the end, do you know what I was told by my parents? I was told by my dad to, you can do acting as a side hustle. You don't have to do it as a main job.
Oh, same.
And you can have a job like, I don't know, a lawyer, a doctor, and all that, or do something like that will actually be like some sort of security net in case acting doesn't work out, which in a way is true. But in reality, right, for me, I have the goal of wanting to get married and wanting to have kids eventually, and having a job, having a stable life, having a stable family. And how am I going to have a whole side hustle with
I mean, you
all
can.
the responsibilities that I will have? Yeah, I know, I think I can, but I don't think I'll be able to do it in the near future because reality.
Girl, you're gonna get married like what? Near future?
Maybe. I don't know. No.
Okay.
No. So
I get it.
because it also takes it takes time for an acting career to form.
Yes, it does.
Unless I have like an overnight whoa boom boom. Not boom boom.
Not boom boom.
Boom boom.
And then I'll be
wow.
Okay.
Boom boom.
Like some overnight fame or whatnot. But pretty sure, like, okay, so as a Southeast Asian woman who's not even from America, why would they hire like and even allow me to audition, even though the whole like acting audition, right, and all that, everything has been really expanded to more like people of color, and like a lot scene has really completely changed from the past. But the chances of me being able to actually like have a successful career in acting is slightly very, very small. If I unless I really put in a lot of effort in it. So that's my whole like consensus on this.
Mm.
In conclusion, the education system in Singapore has a lot of pros and cons, but mostly I think we believe mostly in we identify a lot of the flaws that the education system has, right? And we kind of agree that, you know, these flaws are what kind of overpowers the pros of the education system. Like, you know, there is like pros and cons to every single like type of education system, but this is the one that we went through, and these are like the comments that we have about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is how we feel about it. And we will see you in the next podcast, and we're talking about
Marriages. Marriage
I'm so excited though. I have so much to say about marriage.
Yeah.
what the fuck did you say? Did you say meow?
Okay. Bye guys.
Bye. 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 Bye.